Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to showcase Fire Burst on a very low budget slash league start viable version that I made yesterday on stream using my Fire Burst character, the one that you probably saw like 2 days ago, and pretty much scuffed the entire build. I did scour almost every tattoo that I had. I'm only using budget stuff over here. It is semi-magic fine because in one hand, Magic Find is always better than having no Magic Find, as long as you can keep up with the clear speed, with the mapping speed. But what is more importantly for me, Magic Find items are complete trash, okay? Like, if we look at Sadima's Touch, for example, that has a 10 quantity roll, and I actually did even make the work to price check every single item that I put into the build. So you can see what did I spend, what did I buy, and how much does it cost. And in my current version, the exact same way with all the tattoos, with the jewels, with everything that I had, I put in together here, and I ended up spending a total of 4 divines and 30 chaos for this build, where half of the cost is gonna be basically the weapon for a divine and the warrior's tail jewel for a divine. So it's like 2 divines, which is those 2 items are half the build, and then obviously putting in all the jewels, or at least all the tattoos. So everything combined here, gems, whatever, is a total of 4 divines. So as I said, if you say like, hey, what is your Sadimas, for example, I bought them with 10 quantity for 9 chaos over here. So as I said, very budget. I tried to save the most amount of currency with this version of the build to showcase how would it look like if you would do this on a very low budget, or on League Start, for example. And obviously this build is rather squishy, has a lot less damage than my version, but there is obviously a difference if you go high investment like 300, 400, 500 divines, or 4 divines 30. So in the map showcase, we're gonna run here a T16 113 quant 8 modded Crimson Temple map. This is something you wouldn't necessarily do on a league start, but here we go with these budget fire bursts, so you can make yourself an image and on how does this look like. And honestly, I would say it is okay to play. I wouldn't say this is the best league starter that you can have. This is like the sickest clearing on like a low budget or something like that. But obviously, I have to start somewhere. So, as a trigger skill, I'm using the Wave of Conviction to get my Fire Burst going. And I don't know if this is actually more Monster Life or something. Doesn't really matter too much. But as you see, the clearing-wise, there is no Oriat's End, there is no Fan the Flames. It is just the, the Barracks Respite Ring without anything. As I said, we're gonna go over the skill tree and what I used after that one, or after the showcase. And then I can like talk about how I crafted certain things, what was my approach, what was my thinking of getting those items. But as I said, like Magic Find, and it's like terrible items that don't do a lot for the build. So if you say like, hey, I don't want to go Magic Find, I would rather just go Life Resistance items, then good job, your build is already better than what I have here. But as I said, with going Magic Find, I kind of secure to use terrible items. But as you see, for the mapping clearing aspect is totally fine. We did actually get down the Fire Burst cooldown to about 0.99. So here we're gonna put down our Arcanist brand. I mean, boss damage is not something crazy, but hey, for this low divine on an 8 modded tier 16 map, I still think this is actually pretty decent. But that's just me. Maybe you have like a different opinion about that. And I'm not saying that this is gonna be like an S tier league starter either, right? But honestly, for that low investment, having a super chill mapper where you don't really have to worry about anything, we have Ignite, we have the Ignite proliferation, and I think the speed is definitely better than on what I would say on most league starters, basically, right? For tanky monsters, we do have like this Arcanist brand setup that was doing our double curse, flammability, ally weakness, and stuff like that. So I think there is, as I said, there's like nothing that you can do wrong with this kind of build. So, we are Elementalist, as I said, Shaper the Flames and Shaper of Storms. With the Ignite, all damage can ignite, all damage will ignite, and also having this loop, basically, where our fire burst and our skills can actually shock, which increases the or refreshes the duration of our Herald of Thunder that will take care of most of the stuff. I mean, this can definitely happen when you are pressing on all the altars. My gems are currently level 17, so, you know, level 18 gems now. But hey, I do run a cast on Death Portal on this version, because, hey, it is a mapper, it is, let's assume, early in the league, and something like that, when clicking altars can definitely happen. Not too worried about that one at all. It definitely has, like, some of the flaws that are not that great. I mean, this build is ailment immune thanks to Purity of Elements. But it can definitely happen that you're just gonna get drained all your energy shield, and then you kind of run into the problem that you cannot cast anything. But for the average mapping, it's... The thing is, you know, when Herald of Thunder is going off, it doesn't cost any mana. So even if you run out of mana, or at least energy shield in this version, you will still be able to kill the monsters because your Herald of Thunder is ongoing anyway. So let's clear the rest of the map, and then we go over the gear. What decisions did I make? What did I think is valuable to the build, and what I think this is something where you can definitely save up quite some currency. So, map is, in my opinion, pretty much clear. I think everything is undiscovered. There's, like, maybe some more monsters just hidden in the darkness, because we are still having 50 monsters left. So I guess there's, like, some, you know, some altar monsters hidden or something, and yeah. So, let's get out, and my Herald of Thunder is now level 18, my Flame Dash 18, and my Wave of Conviction level 18. Beautiful. But as you see, build is doing actually not that bad when it comes to that content on this low budget. So let's go over the gear and let's find out how did I do this and what did I spend for all the things. So as I said, I would say we go from top to the bottom. Main hand, I started off with a fractured damage over time multiplier. The base was 5 chaos. The thing is, I was searching for both fractured fire.multi and fractures.multi, and whatever was cheaper, because honestly, on a budget, I don't really think that I'm gonna hit anything good. Like, not at all, because the problem is, essences are around about, I think, 1 divine for 11. 1 divine for 11, basically. That means 11 tries to hit something for 1 divine is kind of unrealistic. So that's why I said, you know what, I'm just going to take anything that is fractured.multi here. I got T3.multi, for example. If you can get better, you get better. If you don't get better, then take something with T4 fracture. I think at least we can guarantee. I don't assume that we're going to hit the opposite. Like, if I have a fracture.multi, I don't think I'm gonna hit fire.multi within like 10 essences. That would be extremely lucky, okay? So I wanted to make sure I have 1.multi and then the fire burst, and then I want to hit something that is damage, okay? On this example, I did hit T2 fire damage to spells on my 8th or 9th essence. And then I said, hey, I have an open prefix. Yeah, there's tier 8 spell damage, which is useless. So I craft fire damage is extra chaos. And this is my staff. And basically, fire burst doesn't require links, you know. So the skill is on the weapon. So the 6 support gems count for it. If linked or not, doesn't matter. Because as I said, this is not an active skill gem. And it cost me a total cost of 1 divine. As I said, 5 chaos the base, then like 8 or 9 essences, a couple jeweler orbs to make it 6 socket. And that's about it. Then next we have the helmet. Wait, why is this should be yellow color? This is just an item where I said, yo, we're doing semi-magic fine, so what do I try to do? Life, energy shield. Here we have items, rare items dropped by slain or unique enemies, which is like a nice magic finding stat. And I did buy this helmet for 50 chaos on top. Because like I had to, I think I Exalt slammed because it was missing a stat or something like that. Doesn't really matter. There is no enchant, no nothing. And yeah, life resistance, and if you want to go magic find, I mean, it's totally up to you. Then something like rarity of items dropped is a very nice stat. Then next item is the Cloak of the Flame. So I really wanted to go with a replica Shroud of the Light, Shroud of the Lightless, because it is an insane damage boost if you're going and stacking Abyss jewels, right, with damage to spells, what I did in my first video. So the problem is I bought, like, the replica Shrouds were about 3 to 4 divines. But yeah, what happens if you go to PoE Ninja and you go for unique body armors, then you're gonna see replica Shroud of the Lightless has a price increase of 273%. So if we open that up, Weird. Since yesterday, the price went from like 900 chaos, which is like 3 or 4 divines, to over 3000 chaos. I wonder if there's a content creator that made a build with Fire Burst that uses that, or at least like used that chest. So obviously, I really wanted to get it, but then I saw the cheapest one was like 15 divines or something, so I said, hey, I want to make this budget, so I'm not going to use that chest either. That's why I put in the Cloak of Flame, because obviously this build doesn't have high amounts of evasion or armor to mitigate damage. And Cloak of Flames is just a very good item when it comes to that. It has a lot of resistance, increased ignite duration, and 40% of physical damage taken as fire damage, which helps with mitigating this damage when it comes to like one-shots and stuff, you know? Because we are obviously res capped, we have like positive chaos res, but we are ailment immune, but we have no armor and no evasion rating. That means that physical hits, if something comes close by, it just gives us a hit and we just die basically, right? But Cloak of Flame helps with that. I have this on a 5 link because, as I said, I tried to make it as good as possible, running in Malevolence, Purity of Elements, Discipline, and Herald of Thunder with an Enlighten support. And this is an Enlighten level 3. If this would have needed an Enlighten level 4, I would not have made this setup. But I think an Enlighten level 3 is definitely in the kind of like league start budget, day 3, day 4 or something, if you want to go for that. And then we also run a Mana Mastery for the 12% Mana Reservation Efficiency. Doesn't have to be this cluster, it can also be this cluster for 3 points to get the Mana Reservation going. No Helm Enchant, no nothing. So this is basically my setup here with the auras. And then we are using the Eldritch Battery Mind Over Matter combo. And in this example, as I said in my build guide for the high investment, you want to get anything but Hexmaster on this, right? Like, you can play Hexmaster because the tattoos are maybe going to be gone, or, you know, these kind of things, but then you wouldn't need the keystone either because it's specifically for the tattoos, right? Why did I not respec that? Well, in my version, I spent over 100 divines getting Mind Over Matter up here, so I thought it would be a waste to scour that. But I still spec'd into Mind Over Matter, so if you're wondering why are you using double Mind Over Matter, it is because I did not feel like scouring that tattoo, because maybe I need this for a future build or something. And as I said, that's cost me like over 100 divines of like spamming these keystone tattoos to get Mind Over Matter there, right? So sorry for that, I did not scour that, but I skilled into Mind Over Matter, so get any keystone up there that you might think doesn't break the build and stuff like that, right? Which is almost not gonna happen anyways. So just for clarification. And that's why we use like Eldritch Battery and Mind Over Matter and Discipline. So I have like a 600 or 700 energy shield. With Mind Over Matter, 40% of the incoming hit is going to get split between life and mana. So 60% will go on life and 40% on mana. Since we use Eldritch Battery and Mind Over Matter, our energy shield now protects our mana, and therefore also suffers from the Mind Over Matter. That means I get a hit and I lose energy shield. And since we don't really need mana to cast at all, as you see, I can just spam away from Conviction. There's no way I'm ever going to deplete that. And Herald of Thunder goes off and I don't need to cast anything but, for example, Phase Run. So I think this is a pretty nice layer of defense, and it doesn't come with a high cost. Most of the auras I just bought from the vendor. As you see, they have no quality on, because if you don't go for alternate quality, what's the point of getting quality on your gems if you're not doing party play or something like that? Then let's go over the next item is Sadima's Touch. As I said, the next 3 items I'm going to go over quickly. I personally think Magic Find items are terribly bad. What does these gloves have? When it comes to like damage and survivability, it has 18 energy shield. Fire damage to attacks, the lightning damage to attacks, I don't care about. The quantity, let's forget about that. So this item specifically has 18 to maximum energy shield. If you buy a rare item with life and energy shield and some resistance, you already have better gloves than I do. But as said, semi-magic find, because I have some magic find items in there, but I personally think these are complete garbage. Why do they work for Magic Find in general? It's usually because these high-end Magic Find builds, they have other things like very good gear to get the damage going. They usually run a Mage Blood or a Headhunter to boost their character and actually bring the damage, right? And most of the good Magic Finders wouldn't use Sadimas anyways, because they would rather get the Rage Gloves and have more speed, because more speed means faster mapping, means more maps per hour, means more profit than having 10 quantity. And when you talk about the Viscous Leash and the Goldworm Boots, what do they have? Bunch of Fire Res, nothing else. 10% movement speed, really bad. This one has quantity cold resistance. So basically you can say my belt has a T3 cold resistance without anything, and my boots have T1 fire res without anything. Okay, so as I said, these items are complete trash. Please do yourself a favor, take any life resistance items, and you should be better off, unless you say, hey, I like to do Magic Find early on in the league. Here you go. Good, then we talk about the ring combination. So I initially planned to do, for example, like one like cheap Venter's Gamble to get some more quantity, but honestly, this one gives a lot of damage, and this one gives a lot of clear. Okay, so I personally would not like to play Fire Burst without those two items, and I bought them for 50 chaos, the Polaric Devastation, and 5 chaos for the Barracks Respite. They obviously don't have any quality on it or something like that, because this would ramp up the price if I spend now 2 divines in a Prismatic Catalyst to get the resistance up. Good, Amulet, I just bought anything with life, maybe some dot multi. I bought this on a rarity base just because, hey, this is the same Magic Find, right? But obviously this thing doesn't really have a lot, and I choose to pick Arsonist for my Anoint because it is really, really freaking cheap. It's this one over here, gives you fire dot multi and regen, and costs you 2 green and 1 blue, which is probably a chaos investment to get this. I did not go away, I did not go that far to say like, hey, I'm gonna anoint Spiritual 8 because it is 1 gold, double silver. That's like a, I don't know, like 150 chaos or something, or 130 for getting this anoint. I would also consider Whispers of Doom, but it's 3 golden oils, which is even more expensive than the Spiritual 8, so I spec'd into that and just anointed something that is really cheap to keep the price of the items and gear or the build itself as low as possible. For the flasks, it's basically, you know, a life flask. I said like, hey, I'm chaos res capped, so if I get an amethyst flask, I'm getting at least some form of chaos res, you know, with some spell damage leeches ES, because we can leech ES with our stuff. A granite flask with increased armor, an onslaught flask, and a silver flask, which is basically, you know, every flask here, either it's, I mean, this one is pretty good. I was really lucky with spamming alterations on that one, but I kind of have a flask arsenal over here with all kinds of like flasks and mage blood flasks and normal flasks. So I said like, you know what, I'm just gonna pick what I have here. This one is alteration spam, this one is alteration spam, this one is alteration spammed, and this one I had like in my thing over here. But in the end of the day, it is whatever. They reduced the charges when you get hit is like the best, what do you say, slot here, but this is you know, a Herald of Thunder build that clears entire screens. We usually never get hit or shouldn't get hit. So I said like, you know what, like 5 chaos, you know, a bunch of alterations, and just spam your flask. Try to get anything useful, like a granite flask with some armor, a quicksilver flask with movement speed, maybe some spell damage, maybe reduced effect of curses. As I said, we run pure developments, we are element immune, so that shouldn't bother us too much. Let's come to the jewels, which is the Warrior's Tale, the Timeless Jewel, and my Medium Cluster and Hypnotic Eyes Jewel. Warrior's Tale, obviously, I did stick with this triple Polar Recovery Rate Warrior's Tale thingy. I think I would not want to play without that. As I said, for Fire Burst, it is important to have your Cooler Recovery Rate on a point where you are actually having Herald of Thunder on. I have it here in Hideout without pressing anything on a 0.99. That means every 4th Herald of Thunder tick will apply Fire Burst, and that one feels really good. And that's why I also bought 2 Cluster Jewels, 2 Abyss Jewels with the most amount of flat damage that I could find, and Cooler Recovery Rate. If I remove one of those, then you're gonna see Fire Burst is on 1 second. This would actually mean every 5th hit, because between 1 second and 125 or 124, it's still gonna be the same. But I figured out with the 2 setup and having 2 jewels with cooldown recovery rate, the 2%, not the 3%. So if I get at 4% cooldown recovery rate, I'm gonna get Fire Burst to less than a second, and that is just freaking amazing. When it comes to the other jewels, as I said, a medium cluster here with Brush with Death. I think this is like very good for mapping, and the other stat that I had was anything that was useful. Here I have Brute for Potency. I think this is like was Brute for Potency, I think damage over time or something like that. But this thing cost me 3 chaos. Then I spent 20 chaos for the first Abyss Jewels and 30 chaos for the second. And for the Elegant Hubris, what I'm doing in PoE to find something like that, obviously I did not use the best one that I had on my previous build. I was literally going PoE trade and bought another one that is similar. How do I do that? Basically, I go on the tree, I just spec into everything that is a notable over here. Everything that is like close by. It would look like this. So this is 3 points, 2 points, 3 points. This one would be 2 points, 1 point. This would be 4 points. 4 points basically. Or 1, 2, 3 points. This is how I look for timeless jewels. And I go to find jewel. I'm gonna put in my elegant hubris. I want to say this is the exact spot where I want to have it, which is this one on the agnostic, and it needs to be by Caspiro, I think, right? Was Caspiro the one that gives you supreme ostentation? It was Caspiro. So now I'm gonna go here. Filter nodes means it only will show me results where the mod that I want to have is on one of the nodes that I have skilled. Okay. And then I go, because the nodes could also be over here, but I'm not skilling them. So there's no point of having here like Frenzy Charge, because I'm not going to spend like 10 points to get over here, right? So these are the ones that I just picked, are the ones that I would consider taking. Then I say I want to have Frenzy on hit, and I want to have minion damage. And with those two, here on the last 0, I'm gonna put a 1. That means it has to be there, okay? Because if we don't do that and we click on search, this one has, for example, 1 time frenzy and 3 times minion damage. This one has 3 times minion damage but no frenzy. But what I want to have the frenzy and then as many minions. So I search and all of these have these nodes over here, right? So I can just pick any of those, for example 1 and 3, and put them in and see basically where are the nodes that I need. Here I have lightning res, I don't need that. Here I have minion max life, I don't need that. Here I have chill, I don't need that. Here we have the frenzy charge, so I'm gonna spec that. And here we have minion damage. It's like really freaking good. Over here, minion damage, but the other 2 nodes are kind of useless. Do I want to spend 4 points? Probably not. I'm not sure, right? Here we have a minion damage, would also be a 4-pointer. Here would be armor, and here would be cast speed. So here, that's why I say, here I could say 4 points for minion damage. Here is 4 points for minion damage. So I think these 2 are no-brainer. I have my frenzy charge and my minion damage, and then it's based on your level and stuff, if you want to go for another 80% minion damage here or here. But this would be the way that you can search those. And if you go to find timeless jewel and say copy your old trait, it will give you all these in your in your copy paste thing, and you see here this would be 150, this would be a divine, this would be a divine. I got mine for 90 chaos, so I was like a bit luckier on this side. But this is how you can figure out what timeless jewel you want to take, and then just respec the points that you don't want to have, and then you know exactly what you're getting for your money. Good. Then we talk on the next items, which is the tattoos. Basically, I decided to use my triple cluster with CDR over here. Then on the next part, I want to get one of the Dove, which is this one over here, because this is a strength node. And since we're using the Supreme Ostentation, we don't have any stat requirements. We can get rid of anything that is strength and so on. So I decided to go 1 Chaos Res here to get me a bit better on the Chaos Res, right? And 3 times CDR and 24 times the Valako Warrior. What is that doing? It's basically the 1 to 7 lightning damage tattoo. They are going in bulk for a chaos apiece. So I bought 24 of these tattoos for 24 chaos. And honestly, is this good? I mean, if you say like it's 1 to 7, so 7 times 24, it's 168 flat lightning damage. It counts for attack and spell damage. So I think like 24 to 168 lightning damage for 24 chaos investment is really, really good. So as I said, here the Chaos Res, here the triple CDR, and all the other nodes here are just 1 to 7 lightning damage to compensate the missing replica Shroud of the Lightless for all these like flat damage. Then gems I'm not gonna go over. As I said, path of building link is in the description below. The most important thing, a custom death portal. I mean, it's not the most important, but on a low budget, you're like you're gonna die. It's not like a super mega tank or something. And I just ran an 8 modded tier 60 map with altar clicking. So if I die, I die. Custom death portal will save me some time with getting back into the map. My 5-link Enlighten 3 setup here with a Mana Mastery node, and since we just have this over here, my Mana Mastery node is over here. I wouldn't take this with this Timeless Jewel because it's just 50 lightning res, so I would just go this route, take those mana nodes, and get the mana reservation over here for 3 points, right? Other than that, it's pretty much, here instead of Stone Brand, I'm using Arcanist Brand. And my trigger for Fire Burst and for bosses is Wave of Conviction. Why is that? Elementalist scales heavy damage with exposure. We get here a 25 extra exposure. We get here on a mastery another 5 extra exposure. Is a 30 extra exposure. So inflicting an exposure is necessary for big damage, right? Having Wave of Conviction has a built-in exposure. It's not the most satisfying skill to press if you don't have a lot of cast speed, but we go in for the bosses, apply exposure, get all the extra exposure, and get big damage. And since I didn't need the Stonebrand in that setup, I decided to go for an Arcanist Brand so I don't have to manually Flammability, LA Weakness, and Flame Surge for the Burning Ground. So I put down my brand on the boss, and then it's gonna cast basically LA Weakness into Flammability, into Flame Surge for a big damage gain, okay? This is really like the big damage gain for single target or for essence monsters or whatever you want to do with that. But as I said, I spent a total of 4.3 divines on this character with everything: tattoos, jewels, class 2 jewels. There is no Watcher's Eye, there is no Awakened gems, there is no alternate quality gems, there is no Mage Blood, no Headhunter, absolutely nothing. A 4 divines character on a 5 link with Fire Burst, and I think the outcome is not too bad. Obviously, we're over a month into the league. You're probably going to play your 100 Divines build and say like, yo, this build actually looks terrible, man. You even died in a map showcase. But honestly, you know, those people just, yeah, it doesn't matter. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and therefore there is no MTX. This character is so budget, it doesn't even use any MTX. I mean, come on. You gotta give me credits to that, okay? Alright boys, I hope you enjoyed this like super low budget, which I think is necessary to get this Fire Burst to feel good, which is the tattoos, and getting the Fire Burst to less than a second, and then you go life resistance gear and Fire Dot multi or damage over time multi, super cheap anointment, no expensive stuff, no Balance of Terror, no Watcher's Eye, no nothing of the good stuff. So you know already, if you have like 30-40 divines budget to make this, that your character is gonna be a lot better than what I have here. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.